Nairobi never sleeps. Even at night, the Matatus rumble past, their headlights slicing through darkness, music booming so loud the walls shake. Hawkers shout their prices, the smell of roasted maize mixes with exhaust fumes, and the streets breathe with restless energy. In a small cafe tucked between a shoe repair stall and a mobile money kiosk, a man sat alone at the corner table. His hoodie was frayed, his sneakers covered in dust, his tea weak and oversweet. To anyone watching, he was just another broke guy trying to stretch a few coins. But that was only the surface. His name was Adrian Mwangi, heir to Mwangi Estates, one of the wealthiest families in the country. His family owned towers that touched the Nairobi sky, gated communities guarded by electric fences, and hotels where politicians sealed deals over champagne. Yet here he was, in a dusty cafe, eating ugali and sukuma from a dented plate. Why? Because Adrian was tired. Tired of the fake smiles at cocktail parties. Tired of women who loved his Range Rover more than his heart. Tired of never knowing if anyone truly cared for him. He wanted something real, something no money could buy. So he made a choice, one even his closest friends would never believe. He stepped away from the empire, took nothing but a small bedsitter in Eastlands, and lived as if he were broke. He told people he was a boda rider, blending into the crowd like a shadow. And it was here, in this little cafe, that fate brought him Leah. She wasn't the kind of beauty that turned heads on magazine covers. Her apron was patched, her hair tied back with a plain rubber band, but her smile, warm, unforced, gentle, lit up the cafe more than the flickering fluorescent bulb overhead. She placed a plate before him, ugali and sukuma. "Eat before it gets cold," she said softly, then hurried off to serve another table. For the first time in months, Adrian smiled. From then on, he kept coming back. At first, Leah didn't think much. Customers came and went, but this one stayed. He didn't complain when tea was too sweet or sukuma too salty. He laughed at her small jokes. He even helped her pick up trays when they slipped. When she sat for a moment on a rainy night, wiping her tired hands on her apron, she asked, "You don't seem like the other boda riders. Where's your family?" Adrian hesitated. His empire pressed against his throat, begging to be revealed. But instead he whispered, "They're gone. Just me now." Leah's face softened. "Life hasn't been kind to me either, but we survive." They sat in silence, the kind that says more than words. And for Adrian, that silence was worth more than all his billions. But Leah carried her own storms. One rainy evening, headlights cut through the cafe windows. A sleek black Prado pulled up. Out stepped Victor. He was everything Adrian had tried to escape: sharp suit, gold watch, arrogance dripping from his every step. He didn't even glance at Adrian as he said, "Leah, we need to talk." Leah's face drained of color. She excused herself, stepping outside with him. Adrian couldn't hear everything through the glass, but he caught enough. Victor's voice was sharp. "When are you going to stop wasting time here? Don't forget who paid for your brother's surgery. Don't forget who saved your family. You owe me." Leah. Adrian's fists clenched under the table. When she returned inside, her eyes avoided his. Later, she whispered, "He's my fiancé. My parents want me to marry him. I don't love him, but family doesn't always give us choices." Adrian felt something inside him crack. Victor, noticing Adrian's gaze before leaving, smirked. "You think she'll ever choose you? You're nothing. Just a broke rider chasing dreams too big." That night, Adrian lay awake in his peeling bedsitter, staring at the ceiling. His whisper filled the dark. Would she ever love me, if she knew who I really was? The cafe became Adrian's second home. Days turned into weeks, and soon, Leah wasn't just a waitress who served him ugali. She became the reason he looked forward to each sunrise. One late afternoon, when the city was painted gold by the setting sun, Adrian walked Leah home. Her neighborhood was nothing like the glass towers his family owned. Here, children played barefoot on dusty roads, goats wandered freely, and old women sat by their doors gossiping. Leah's home was a cramped two-room shack, roof patched with iron sheets. Yet she smiled as she opened the wooden door. "This is it. Not much, but it's ours." Inside, her mother sat on a low stool, coughing softly while sewing torn clothes. Leah introduced Adrian as a friend from the cafe. Her mother's tired eyes studied him. "You have kind eyes," she said gently. "Take care of my daughter. She carries more than she shows." Adrian swallowed hard. If only she knew who he really was. That night, as they sat outside, Leah shared her truth. "My younger brother, Brian, is sick. Heart condition. He needs medicine every month. Victor helped pay for his last surgery. That's why my parents pushed me to marry him. They think it's security, but it feels like prison." Her voice cracked, but she didn't cry. She was too strong for tears. Adrian wanted to scream, "I can pay for everything. I can save Brian. I can free you from Victor forever." But he bit his tongue. If he revealed the truth too soon, would she believe his love, or just see another rich man trying to buy her heart? So he whispered instead, "You deserve more than chains disguised as favors. One day, Leah, you'll have a choice." She looked at him, puzzled, but didn't press further. But Victor wasn't a man to be ignored. The next week, he showed up at the cafe again. This time, he didn't wait outside. He strolled in, his cologne choking the air, his laugh sharp enough to cut glass. He dropped a bundle of cash on the counter. "Keep the change," he told the cashier, though his tea cost only 50 shillings. Then he turned to Adrian. "You again. Tell me, Boda boy, how much do you make in a week? Can you even afford Leah's bus fare?" The cafe went silent. All eyes turned. Leah's face burned with shame. She whispered, "Victor, stop." But Victor only smirked. "I'll stop when he realizes his place. Poor men don't get fairy tales, friend. Leave while you still have some dignity." Adrian's jaw tightened. He wanted to rise, to shout, to reveal everything. But Leah's pleading eyes stopped him. So he swallowed his pride and stayed seated. That night, fate nearly betrayed him. Walking home, he bumped into an old family friend, Uncle Kamau, one of his father's business partners. "Adrian?" the man gasped, eyeing his dusty hoodie. "What madness is this? Your father's son, dressed like a street rider." Adrian pulled him into a corner, whispering urgently, "Uncle, please, not here, not now." But Leah, who had walked a little ahead, turned back. "Adrian, do you know him?" Adrian's heart raced. "Just an old customer," he stammered. Uncle Kamau frowned but caught on. With a slow nod, he played along. "Ah yes, he once fixed my punctured tire. A good lad." Leah smiled faintly and walked on. When she was out of earshot, Adrian gripped Kamau's arm. "Please, don't tell anyone, not even my family. I need time." Kamau sighed, shaking his head. "You're playing with fire, boy. Secrets have sharp teeth." As Adrian watched him disappear into the night, unease gnawed at him. How many more close calls before the truth burst out? Yet, for every shadow, there was light. One evening, Leah surprised him. She led him to a quiet rooftop overlooking the city. The skyline glowed with towers and neon signs, a world Adrian knew too well. "When I was a girl," Leah said, "I used to dream of eating in those tall hotels. Of sitting by glass windows, not cracked walls. But dreams fade when survival takes over." Adrian looked at her profile, glowing in the city lights. And for the first time, he dared whisper what he felt. "Leah, you are my dream." She turned, eyes wide, breath caught in her throat. For a heartbeat, the city disappeared, leaving only the two of them. But just before their lips met, her phone buzzed. A message. She glanced at it, and her face fell. "Victor, remember your place. Dinner tomorrow at 8. Don't be late." The moment shattered. She pocketed the phone, forcing a smile. "I should go." Adrian watched her walk away, the glow of the skyline mocking him. He whispered into the night, "How long can I hide before I lose her forever?" The next few weeks felt like a storm building over the horizon. Leah tried to keep her smile at the cafe, but her eyes told another story. Shadows of sleepless nights, the weight of choices she never wanted to make. Adrian saw it. He felt it. But he couldn't fix it, not without breaking his own secret. One evening, Leah rushed past Adrian, panic in her steps. He caught up to her outside. "What happened?" "It's Brian," she gasped. "He collapsed. I need to get him to Kenyatta Hospital now." Without hesitation, Adrian flagged a boda and climbed on behind her. The ride through Nairobi traffic was chaos, horns blaring, engines roaring, Leah clutching her brother's hand as if her grip alone could keep him alive. At the hospital, doctors whisked Brian away. Hours dragged on, the walls heavy with silence. Finally, a doctor approached, his face grim. "He needs immediate treatment. Medicine. It will cost 70,000 shillings. Leah's face crumbled. 70,000. She barely made 10,000 in a month at the cafe. Her hands shook as she whispered, "I'll find a way." Adrian's heart burned. He had more than enough in a single account. More than enough to pay for 10 surgeries. The words almost escaped his lips, "I'll cover it. Don't worry." But then Leah's phone rang. "Victor, where are you?" His voice was sharp, cold. Leah explained, her tone desperate. Victor sighed dramatically. "I'll send the money. But remember, Leah, this means you don't keep me waiting again. You owe me, more than ever." Leah closed her eyes, shame swallowing her. "Thank you," she whispered. When she hung up, Adrian's chest felt like fire. Victor had trapped her again, tightening the chains disguised as favors. He wanted to scream, "I could free you. I could save Brian without strings. But the words never came. The next day, Victor arrived at the hospital in his polished Prado. He strutted in, sunglasses still on indoors, handing the receipt for Brian's treatment like it was a trophy. He looked at Adrian, who sat quietly by Leah's side, and smirked. Still here, Boda boy. You must enjoy following Leah around like a stray dog. Leah flinched. Victor, please. Victor ignored her. He stepped closer to Adrian, lowering his voice just enough. Listen, I know your type. Broke men with borrowed dreams. Don't get too comfortable. Leah is mine. She's been mine since the day I paid her brother's bill. Understand? Adrian stared back, every muscle in his body screaming to lash out. But Leah's weary eyes, pleading for peace, kept him silent. Later that night, Adrian sat alone outside the hospital, staring at the city lights. His chest heaved with conflict. What am I doing? He muttered. How long can I keep this mask on? Every day I stay silent. Victor digs his claws deeper into her life. His phone buzzed. A message from his cousin, Naomi, the only family member who knew his secret. Adrian, your father is asking questions. You can't keep living like this forever. One slip, and it all crumbles. He shut the phone off, burying his face in his hands. But then he heard Leah's voice behind him. You're always there, she said softly. Every time I feel like breaking, you're just there. Adrian looked up, his heart caught in his throat. The way she looked at him, it wasn't pity. It wasn't gratitude. It was something deeper, something fragile and real. For a moment, he almost said it. Leah, I'm not who you think. I can save you. I can save Brian. I can give you everything. But fear strangled the words. So instead, he whispered, I'll always be here. Even if I can't fix everything, I'll never leave you alone. Leah's lips trembled into a small smile. And in that smile, Adrian found both hope and unbearable guilt. But Victor wasn't done. 2 days later, he invited Leah's parents to dinner at a 5-star hotel downtown. Leah didn't want to go, but her father insisted. Victor has proven himself. He's responsible, Leah. He can secure your future, and ours. Don't be foolish. At the dinner, Victor raised a glass, grinning wide. To family. To loyalty. And to the woman who will soon be my wife. Leah froze, the words like chains around her neck. Across the table, Adrian, who had followed quietly, pretending to be just a family friend, watched it unfold, his stomach turning. And then came the twist. Victor placed an envelope on the table. Your debts, he told Leah's father. Paid in full. Consider it a wedding gift. Leah's father's eyes lit up with relief. Her mother whispered prayers of gratitude. But Leah's hands shook as she stared at the envelope, at the invisible shackles Victor had tightened once again. Adrian felt the walls closing in. He had to make a choice. Reveal himself now, or risk losing Leah forever. But just as he opened his mouth, Victor leaned across the table, eyes narrowing. And as for you, he said coldly to Adrian, maybe it's time we find out who you really are. Victor's words at the dinner table lingered like poison. Maybe it's time we find out who you really are. The table fell silent. Leah's father glanced between them, uneasy. Adrian kept his face calm, but inside, his heart hammered like a drum. Victor smirked, leaning back. Don't worry, Boda boy. I've got friends everywhere. A man like you, easy to track. Let's see what dirt we find. Leah shifted uncomfortably. Victor, why do you always have to humiliate him?